All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we're going to now get into talking about the Bengals Cowboys game for tonight. I apologize once again. My camera just continues to give me issues, but it's all good. It's all good. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I wouldn't have expected going into the year that the Cowboys would be 5-7. The Bengals would be 4-8. The Cowboys have a better record than the Bengals right now. With the no Dak Prescott, the Bengals have a healthy Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase is having an unbelievable season. T Higgins is back, but the Bengals are 4-8. And at the end of the year, I'm going to try to do lists of the top 5 most disappointing teams, things like that. These two teams will probably be on the list because I had both of these teams making the playoffs, and now when it comes to these teams, I probably would have leaned towards the Bengals going on a deeper playoff run than the Cowboys because they have done that in the past. But right now, it does not seem like either of these teams will be doing that this year. Well, it's most likely going to be the case. Now, they still have little slivers of hope that maybe they can go on a run and somehow sneak in. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, a win tonight, would help them a little bit, but it's just there's more work to be done, and I just don't think it's going to happen. Joe Burrow has been unbelievable this year. 30 touchdowns to 5 picks, I believe, are his stats. The Bengals, though, I mean, it's unbelievable. This stat that I saw, this was posted on CBS's Instagram account. The Bengals are averaging the most points per game in losses in a single season in NFL history. They are averaging 27.8 points per game. And they're losing games. I mean, you look at these losses that they have had this season. The 2 games to the Ravens, the game to the Commanders early on. Last week, they lose 44-38 to the Steelers. Then before the bye week, 34-27 to the Chargers, 35-34 to the Ravens. 41-38 to the Ravens earlier in the season. 38-33 to the Commanders. You lose by 1 point to the Chiefs, 26-25. Week 1, I mean, losing to the Patriots 16-10, that's inexcusable. But it's just been one of those years. And Joe Burrow, like I said, he has been great this year. 30 touchdowns to 5 picks. But even that doesn't matter. And the Bengals are a team that typically starts off slow. And the last time they played the Cowboys was one of those years, and they made it to the AFC Championship game. They played against Cooper Rush, who will be playing in this game tonight. And I think they lost that game, I want to say it was 20-17. Let's see if we can find it. Because Dak Prescott, got hurt, and he missed some time. So Cooper Rush stepped in and did a nice job. But yeah, they won 20-17. Bengals fell to 0-2 at that point. Cowboys were 1-1. So Joe Burrow had only 199 passing yards and a touchdown. Joe Mixon, 19 carries for 57 yards. Of course, he's not there. You got Chase Brown now, who's been running the ball effectively and making plays for them this year. T. Higgins had 6 receptions for 71 yards and a touchdown. Jamar Chase only had 5 receptions for 54 yards. The Bengals defense only had 1 sack in the game. And then as for Cooper Rush, he went 19-31 for 235 yards and a touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott was their leading rusher. He will not be their leading rusher tonight. He has 15 carries for 53 yards. Tony Pollard had a rushing touchdown. He's, of course, not there. Noah Brown actually was the leading receiver in that game. 5 receptions for 91 yards and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb only had 7 for 75. Cowboys defense did get to Burrow a handful of times. 6 sacks against him in that game. I do think there's going to be more points scored tonight because both defenses have been disappointing. Bengals defense is one of the worst in the league. Cowboys defense, at least the last, Last week against the Giants, they had the pick six. But again, it's against the Giants. Now you're going to be going up against Joe Burrow and that offense. And who knows? It could be a shootout. I don't know if it's going to be 44-42 like the Rams-Bills game, but I think there's going to be a decent amount of points. Right now, the over-under is 50. I think that you bet the over in the game. I think that's going to go over that. And looking at the league rankings for both teams, they're both top 10 in passing yards per game. They're both at the bottom when it comes to running the football. Rico Dowdle actually had over 100 yards rushing. First Cowboys running back to do that in like over a year. Points per game, the Bengals are 5th. The Cowboys are 21st. And then defensively, Cowboys defense is 13th against the pass. Bengals defense is 27th. Against the run, both teams struggle. Cowboys are 31st against the run, giving up an average of 147.6 rushing yards per game. The Bengals are 23rd, giving up an average of 128.2. Points allowed, both teams are locked at 30. They're giving up an average of 28.3 points per game. So like I said, there is going to be a lot of points scored here. And the Bengals, I mean, they haven't won in quite some time. And you wonder, when are they going to win a game? Are they going to win another game this year? Yes, they are. I think it is going to be tonight. I think they win tonight. They've lost their last 3 games, giving up over 30 points. Now, can the Cowboys score over 30 points? I mean, maybe. I mean, I know that there is Cooper Rush starting at quarterback, but I think they're going to be able to move the ball against this defense. But I think Joe Burrow and that offense will have a big game tonight. I think they should win tonight, get themselves back on track, and then try to, finish out this year on a positive note. Try to get themselves back to 500, which I honestly don't think they're going to be able to do. Because, you got the Steelers and the Broncos towards the end of the year. I mean, they're probably going to finish with 6 or 7 wins, if that. But I do like them to win tonight. Right now, they're 5.5 point favorites. I had a rough week with the spread pool this week. I think they'll win and cover the number. I think they'll win by at least a touchdown or by at least 6 points. I think Jamar Chase and T. Higgins will have big games. I think Chase Brown will have a big game. And, I think the Cowboys, like I said, they'll move the ball against the Bengals defense. But I think Cooper Rush makes a mistake tonight that costs him. And I think the Cowboys get the win. The Bengals get the win. Sorry. So I like the Bengals to win. I'll say they win 34 to 24. Let's say that. So I like the Bengals to win and finally get off of this losing streak that they've been on for a while. So that is pretty much it for the show for today. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll get to some of the other games. We'll also talk about what happened over the weekend in college football. The playoff format has been set. There is no Alabama. No Alabama. Alabama did not make it in. Because SMU did lose to Clemson. And I think people thought that because of that, Alabama was going to get in. But no. SMU is in. Clemson won the ACC championship game. The 2 later games on Saturday were good. You had Oregon and Penn State. Oregon continues to look like the best team with the win over Penn State. That was high scoring. SMU was down against Clemson the whole time. They came back, and then Clemson kicked the game-winning field goal to go ahead. The Georgia-Texas game was low scoring. The Arizona State-Iowa State game, it was close at one point, but then the Sun Devils pulled away. And then also on Friday night, you had Boise State and UNLV, and Boise State ended up winning that. So like I said, we will get into all of that. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the game from tonight. We'll recap that tomorrow. We'll get into some of the other NFL games that I didn't cover today. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. And like I said, it was it wasn't a bad week in fantasy. I just wish that some of my teams would have played better, last week, because otherwise I'd be in the playoffs now. But that didn't happen. They decided to do good, when I'm out of it. I actually, in my main league, I'm gonna win. My team dropped 168 points, and I still have Jamar Chase to play tonight. So he could give me more points, and I could be sitting in a playoff spot by the end of the week. And then it really just will come down to winning next week and getting in, and I would have made it in 2 out of the 5 leagues that I'm in this year. So we will see what happens there. But yeah, not a bad week in fantasy. Spread pool was bad, which I'm not surprised by. And then also when it comes to baseball, the player I was hoping the Yankees would bring back is now going to be playing in Queens for the next 15 years. So yeah, can't really get into that because, listen, if I was doing the baseball show, I would talk about it. But I'll be talking about it in the production meeting that I will be in shortly with the whole team. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all the other shows. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video. And that is pretty much it. So as always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day. Enjoy the game tonight, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.